Welcome to the CompTIA Project Plus prepcast by baremetalcyber.com. A well-built project schedule is more than just a list of dates. It is a carefully constructed framework that breaks down the work into manageable activities and anchors progress through well-placed milestones. These two elements form the backbone of effective time management in projects. Milestones act as visible markers that help everyone understand where the project stands in its journey toward completion, while activities define the specific pieces of work that must be executed to reach those markers. Without clear identification of both, the schedule risks becoming unfocused, making it difficult to coordinate efforts, track accountability, or maintain control over deadlines. Strong schedule planning ensures that the team works in sync. Stakeholders remain informed, and deliverables are completed in a logical, timely sequence. In project scheduling, an activity is a clearly defined unit of work that consumes both time and resources. These are the actionable building blocks of the schedule, and each must have a defined start date, an end date, an expected duration, and identified resources assigned to carry it out. Activities are not vague aspirations. They are measurable commitments tied directly to the scope as defined in the work breakdown structure. By treating activities as discrete and trackable units, the project manager can measure progress with accuracy, allocate resources effectively, and detect delays before they jeopardize critical deadlines. A milestone, by contrast, is a zero-duration event that signals the completion of a major deliverable or the achievement of a significant checkpoint. Common examples include the formal sign-off of a project phase, delivery of a key prototype to the client, or receipt of a required regulatory approval. Milestones are not just administrative markers. They are motivational targets that give the team a sense of accomplishment and provide stakeholders with a quick way to gauge progress. Because milestones are easily understood even by those unfamiliar with the detailed schedule, they are particularly useful in status communications and executive updates. It is important to understand the difference between milestones and activities to use them effectively. Activities represent the effort, the work that must be done, while milestones represent the outcome or evidence that the work is complete. Milestones do not consume resources or time themselves, but they depend entirely on the successful completion of preceding activities. In many cases, a single milestone will only be achieved when multiple related activities finish, making it both a focal point and a test of the project's sequencing discipline. A schedule that clearly distinguishes between these two elements is easier to manage and interpret. The process of identifying activities begins with the work breakdown structure. Each lowest-level deliverable in the WBS is broken down further into individual tasks or activities that are small enough to estimate accurately, but large enough to be meaningful in tracking. This often requires a combination of expert judgment, historical data from similar projects, and collaboration with team members who will actually perform the work. If activities are too broad, they become difficult to measure and manage. If they are too granular, the schedule becomes cluttered and unwieldy. The balance is in creating activities that are clear, traceable to scope, and practical for estimation. Once activities are identified, sequencing them in a logical and executable order is the next critical step. Activities rarely occur in isolation. Most have predecessors and successors, meaning one must finish before another can begin, or they may need to start or finish in parallel. Logical sequencing ensures that tasks flow naturally, avoiding idle time and bottlenecks. Tools like network diagrams or project scheduling software help visualize and enforce these dependencies. Poor sequencing can result in unrealistic timelines, wasted resources, or schedule compression techniques being used unnecessarily later in the project. For projects where the full scope of work cannot be planned in detail at the outset, rolling wave planning offers a practical solution. In this approach, near-term activities are defined in detail, while tasks further in the future remain at a higher level of abstraction until more information becomes available. As milestones are reached and assumptions are validated, the next wave of activities is planned in detail. This allows flexibility in dynamic environments without sacrificing control over immediate work. It also prevents wasted effort on estimating distant tasks that are likely to change. Estimating the duration of each activity is another essential input for building the schedule. Duration estimates should be grounded in an understanding of the task's complexity, the skill and availability of assigned resources, and the potential for risks or delays. Techniques for estimating include expert judgment based on prior experience, analogous estimation using data from similar projects, and parametric modeling that calculates time based on measurable factors like units of work per hour. Because duration estimates set expectations for stakeholders and guide resource allocation, they should be reviewed regularly and updated as the project progresses. Finally, in this first half, we must address constraints and assumptions, as they play a critical role in shaping the schedule. Constraints are firm limits, such as fixed deadlines, limited resource availability, or contractual obligations, that restrict how the schedule can be arranged. Assumptions, on the other hand, are conditions believed to be true but not yet proven, such as the expected delivery date of a vendor component. Both must be documented during activity identification and scheduling because they influence dependencies, sequencing, and risk exposure. Overly rigid constraints can increase schedule risk if they allow no flexibility, while incorrect assumptions can trigger major adjustments later. Once activities are clearly defined and sequenced, the next step is to connect them logically to milestones so the schedule reflects both the work being done and the achievements being targeted. Each milestone should be positioned in the schedule immediately following the completion of the activities that make it possible. For example, a milestone for design phase complete might depend on the completion of activities such as finalizing requirements, producing wireframes, and securing design approvals. By linking milestones to the activities that precede them, the project manager ensures that these checkpoints are meaningful indicators of progress rather than arbitrary calendar dates. Milestones are also one of the most effective tools for communicating with stakeholders, especially those who do not need to track the granular details of every activity. In status meetings or executive briefings, milestones provide a clear, high-level view of progress that is easy to digest. They serve as non-technical markers that show whether the project is advancing as expected, and they offer a natural point for celebrating progress or identifying risks. Regular milestone reviews can align the team's focus, keeping everyone working toward shared targets. Conversely, a missed milestone should serve as an early warning signal, prompting a deeper review of schedule health, resource allocation, and any risks that have materialized. The detailed activity list that underpins these milestones is best managed in scheduling tools such as Microsoft Project, Primavera P6, or similar platforms. In these tools, each activity is entered with its duration, assigned resources, predecessor relationships, and any constraints or deadlines. Once entered, the software can automatically generate Gantt charts that visually display the sequence of work, as well as network diagrams that map out dependencies. The tools can also calculate the project's critical path, the longest chain of dependent activities that dictates the shortest possible project duration, and compare planned versus actual performance through baseline tracking. Validating the completeness of the activity list is a critical quality check in schedule development. Any missed task can create a gap in the schedule, while duplicate activities can inflate resource and time estimates unnecessarily. Cross-referencing the activity list with the work breakdown structure helps ensure that every deliverable is accounted for and that no scope element is left unscheduled. Expert review and checklists can further improve accuracy, as can lessons learned from previous projects. A complete activity list provides confidence that the schedule reflects the full scope of work and that no critical path tasks are overlooked. Understanding and monitoring the critical path is a core responsibility for any project manager. Because tasks on the critical path have zero float, any delay in these activities will directly push back the project's end date. Identifying the critical path early allows the team to prioritize these activities, ensuring they receive the resources and attention needed to stay on track. Over the course of the project, the critical path may shift as activities finish earlier or later than planned, so it must be recalculated regularly. This recalculation ensures that the team is always focused on the true drivers of project completion. Some activities may be performed in parallel or with intentional overlap to compress the schedule. Techniques like fast-tracking starting tasks before their predecessors are fully complete and crashing adding resources to speed up completion can shorten the timeline but also introduce new risks. Overlapping activities require careful coordination to avoid rework or quality issues, especially when dependent deliverables are still evolving. Resource conflicts are another common challenge when parallel activities compete for the same people or equipment. The project manager must balance the benefits of compression against the risks to quality, cost, and scope stability. Not all dependencies are internal to the project team. Many schedules must incorporate external dependencies, such as vendor deliveries, regulatory approvals, or customer decisions. These dependencies are often outside the direct control of the project manager, which makes them particularly risky. They must be clearly represented in the schedule and monitored closely, with contingency plans ready in case of delays. Proactive communication with external stakeholders, coupled with documented agreements on timelines, can help mitigate these risks. Milestones also serve as built-in checkpoints for assessing overall progress and making any necessary adjustments to the plan. Status meetings often revolve around milestone readiness, identifying blockers, and confirming that all required activities will finish on time to achieve the milestone. If a milestone is missed, a root cause analysis can help determine whether the problem lies in estimation, execution, resource availability, or an external factor. Timely corrective action can often prevent a single missed milestone from cascading into larger schedule problems. As the project moves forward, the schedule must be updated to reflect actual progress. This involves recording actual start and finish dates, adjusting durations for activities still in progress, and reforecasting future tasks as needed. Updating the schedule also means reevaluating the critical path, as changes in task completion times may shift which activities are most time-sensitive. Frequent and accurate updates keep the schedule a living document, rather than a static plan that quickly becomes obsolete. These updates also ensure that stakeholders receive the most current view of project health, enabling them to make informed decisions. In summary, the combined discipline of identifying, sequencing, and estimating activities and tying them to clearly defined milestones forms the foundation of a reliable project schedule. Milestones give structure to the timeline and provide natural points for stakeholder engagement, while activities create the actionable roadmap that makes those milestones possible. A schedule built with this level of care is more than a plan. It is a management tool that supports coordination, visibility, and adaptability throughout the life of the project. By mastering these techniques, a project manager not only meets the expectations of the CompTIA Project Plus exam, but also gains practical skills that translate directly into improved real-world project execution. Thank you for listening. Please follow baremetalcyber.com on social media and check out our books at cyberauthor.me.